Hello, everyone. It is 1 o'clock on a Thursday. Thanks for joining. This is the second episode of Remotely Entertaining. Thank you very much for those of you who tuned in to the last one and or watched it or listened after the fact. And as you may know or remember, this is kind of an offshoot from the show that I was doing and continue to do for Site Hub. We actually have another episode coming up today at 3 o'clock. And the point of this was to do some things that maybe didn't fit the brand with Site Hub. Things like that, things that I find interesting and all of that stuff. So while I so rudely fuck around on my phone here, we do have a guest today, a repeat visitor, my friend and yours, Brandon Barend. Brandon.
What's going on, Jamie?
How's it going? Not too much. How are things going there? Yeah, you're still in Fairport, right?
Oh yeah, but still in Fairport. I had the ability to get a lot of housework done during quarantine, so we're looking good over here now.
Very nice. Good. Yeah, I feel like I talked to you about halfway through quarantine, although, we didn't know it was halfway through at that point. So you made it through. All the kids are alive and everything?
Yeah, as far as I know, they're all still good. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. I had very high hopes for getting stuff done. It didn't happen.
You're sending them to school, right?
Well, last year we didn't really have a choice, obviously, but this year, my son is going 2 days a week, Monday and Thursday, and then her kids, one of her daughters is going 2 days a week as well, and then the other two are going 5 days a week. So I don't know. What do you think? How long do you think it'll last?
I actually have a bet with my daughter that it'll be shut down by Thanksgiving. That's my guess.
Yeah, I figured a month. I think if nothing else, within a month, we're going to know, because within a month, if shit's still happening, I mean, they might as well continue. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I kind of feel like this might be the canary in the coal mine, because it's like, hey, if all the kids get sick, well, they're not going to get sick, probably, but if all the kids get COVID, okay. But now, obviously, all the parents have it and whatever else. And, so hopefully not too many people get sick and or die. But at that point, it will either be, okay, a lot of people should now be immune to it for a couple months, depending upon what that research shows. To me, I think it's going to come down to the teachers, because the kids are going to be fine, but you get 10 or 12 teachers out sick. I don't know. My social calendar is pretty full. I've got, and it's not an audition anymore, an interview. I have an interview next week for police chief. So I don't know that I can also be a substitute teacher.
Yeah, I might have a say in that, because I'm interviewing for the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's going to come to a head too. Now, there's a couple schools that thought, man, it really comes down to parental choice. Like, we're doing the hybrid model at Fairport, and they were the solution was, or their thought was, it's too dangerous to have them go for 5 days a week. So, we're going to keep them home 3 days a week. So, the virus doesn't hit my kids on Thursdays and Fridays. So to me, it's not the questions on anyone's parental choice, but if it's too much of a risk to send them full time, then that's enough for me to say, you guys got to figure this out and we'll circle back some other time. But it doesn't, I'm not worried about my kids getting it. I'm worried about grandpa getting it because they go there for the weekend. And then, my father is in trouble because but also no one knows what's going on, bro. Like I just take it as it goes.
Yeah. I think that at this point, it's all you can do. And, if you're anything like me, after the last 6 months we've had, I'll send Miller out to lick doorknobs if that's what it's going to take.
Yeah. My biggest struggle is the live music has really took a hit for me. I haven't seen concert #1 this year. And, I'm a big Gary Clark Jr. fan, and all I wanted to do was go see Gary Clark Jr. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
So.
We went out again this past weekend and saw Into the Now.
Did you go on the cruise ship or whatever, the Colonial Bell?
No, I haven't done that yet. I love those guys, but not like $60 a ticket. Love them. But no, a buddy of mine has like a nice piece of land out in Shortsville. So he's had concerts every weekend.
That's awesome.
It is, and it's people wear masks. It also helps that it's usually like hippie type stuff. So you don't, first off, everybody knows each other. So you don't really have that uncomfortable conversation of, hey, bro, can you give me a little room here? It's just, there's plenty of room for everybody. You're not up on top of each other. And the music was great. And yeah, to your point,
You've all slept in the same tent probably before, so.
Yeah. I didn't camp. I can't.
Have you seen they're doing like drive-in concerts? You like park your car and then like that's your bubble basically, so you can like have 6 feet out of your car or tune into the radio. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's just this is the way life is.
Dark Star Orchestra did that in Canandaigua Friday. And again, it was $200 a car, which I don't think I'm cheap, but I'm also, if Dark Star Orchestra, who I love, if they were playing at the Auditorium Theater or anywhere for $50 a ticket, I don't think I'd go. So, and now it's like, if it's just two of us in a car, now it's $100. So it was just too much. But
if I'm hearing you, it's more expensive to go to a parking lot concert than an actual venue.
And I get you can pack a cooler and, there is no concessions. So they got to make their money somewhere. And I had a lot of buddies that went and they loved it. And, one of my friends Into the Now, he was talking to me. He's like, I just hope this isn't our last gig for 6 months. But with the colder weather coming, it's a reality.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Most of these, musicians that are trying to supplement income or whatever they're doing, it's going to be tough sledding out there in the winter.
Right, because it's one thing to be outside and shit. I'll be out there as long as I can, but it's not going to be in 10-degree weather.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I hear you. That is something. What do you think about all the shit going on downtown?
I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about it, depending on who's listening. But I play stupid games, win stupid prizes, man. That's kind of the name of the game right now to me. I don't know what anything is being accomplished. One of my buddies went over there. She got hit in the face with like one of those, like either it was like a pepper spray or like a rubber bullet or something. But anyways, it caught her right in the face, broke her nose, all to pieces. I don't know. Yeah, I got signs in my yard and I support the cause, but that's about as far as I'm going. I don't know. And maybe I'm part of the problem.
Yeah, no, I went down there the other night. I happened to be here at work and it was later at night. So I said, oh, shit, I'll go down and see what's going on. There were a lot of people down there. And it was very peaceful. It's funny, that the violence usually starts with the authorities.
Well, I think that's a good point. You go there and you saw firsthand it's peaceful. I'm only hearing what they're showing me on the news, which is they're not going to show me the peaceful shit. So, I don't think I have a parameter on it.
Right. And, believe me, the protesters were loaded for bear. I mean, they were ready.
Yeah.
But you have to be, I guess. But no, it was really peaceful. I mean, it wasn't peaceful. It was loud. But
so you just came down there with an IPA and some headphones and just said, check it out.
There was very little booze, but a lot of chronic. The smell. I mean, I didn't see anybody drinking or smoking, but you could smell it. And look, frankly, I'd rather have that. I don't want to see 1,000 drunk people walking the street.
Yeah. Just a bunch of bags of chips laying around afterwards. That's better.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny because I saw something, I don't even know what it was, but someone was talking and they're like, look, this is the revolution. Everybody talks about it as if, I've said this a lot about, because we really should get into religion. I've said this a lot, that if, all of the devout Christians and such are saying he's coming back, that, it's foretold. I think if Jesus came back today, he better have a driver's license, a passport, a birth certificate, and 3 references, or he's going to get stoned, like not in the good way, or locked up or put in a crazy house, because we're all so goddamn skeptical, and we're all looking, we look for something. And a lot of times it's like, no, it's like in Spaceballs when it's like, but when's this? It's right now. What do you mean right now? Right now. So this person that was saying, this is the revolution, it may very well be. And if it's not, I don't, what's it going to take? How many more dead kids, dead unarmed people? Like, I don't know, man. I'm tired of it, but not in the way that a lot of people are tired. Like, something's got to change when these things keep happening over and over again. And we hear every goddamn excuse in the book. Well, I mean, we all fuck up at our job, right? And
not me.
Well, right. I don't think anybody's ever been fired the first time they really fucked up, but you've also, if everything you do is going to be watched and maybe recorded, how the fuck does it keep happening? But that's all I got, so.
Oh, we're checking all the boxes. Politics,
yeah, absolutely. We got our demographics and and I'm ready to be police chief.
Yeah, you get my vote. Sound like you have a good platform.
Yeah, I don't even know. Do people vote for police chief?
I feel like you got to get voted in, right?
I guess maybe. Yeah. All right. We have comments here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Joseph T. Hogan says, Brandon Barend, how do you feel? Oh, that was on my list. I was going to ask you that. How do you feel, Brandon?
I continue to be amazed at Joe's ability to stalk everything that I do. It's impressive.
It is a talent. Joe, I hope you're doing well. So you're still in security. So this company, is it Cyrisma? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
Cyrisma?
Yeah.
Cool. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I would love to, man. So I am still in security, as you mentioned. It's unfortunately kind of an industry that is booming right now, based on everything that's going on. But the one thing that I noticed in previous security jobs that I've worked is it's just so damn complicated and confusing, and it becomes difficult to even hold conversations with people because they don't even know what they need. It's like the old you don't know what you don't know mentality, and that's very much the case when it comes to security. So what Cyrisma has done is it has simplified that entire process, and they've developed a SaaS, or a software as a service platform, that puts the efficiency and the accessibility and the ease of use back into cybersecurity. And it really just focuses around data only. So if I talk to 10 customers, 9 of them won't be able to tell me where their data is, who has access to the data, what kind of sensitive information is out there amongst that data. And that is primarily where, unfortunately, the cyber criminals out there focus on, is the data. You get a healthcare organization, imagine the data that they have, or higher education institutions, imagine the data that they have. So what we do is we focus on 3 simple prongs. It's data discovery, risk assessment, and relevant action. And all of that is done in one platform. It is just a simple scan. It can tell you where your data is located, how sensitive is that data, who can review that data. As we leave that data discovery wheel, we then focus in on the risk assessment. We can identify what the vulnerabilities are. We can strengthen any configurations that may have caused those vulnerabilities, and then we help you take relevant action. There's actually a tool within that software that you can assign mitigation actions to your team. The really cool thing about it is, you might scan one computer and get 13,000 things that are wrong. We have a root cause analysis, which is my favorite part of the platform. It'll tell you, okay, Jamie, 13,000 things wrong, fix these 5, and the ripple effect will solve everything. So you don't have to worry about or get overwhelmed with the amount of data. We'll tell you everything, but simplistically, we'll point you in the right direction of what to fix for the most impact, and then you'll be able to strategically assign that to your team at a literal fraction of the cost for someone to come in and do all that for you.
Yeah, because I imagine that's pretty common. I know it works like that on phones, and probably also on laptops, tablets, where you're in Facebook and you use Facebook to log into your weather app, and your fantasy baseball goes through your Gmail app. So you got a billion of these issues, and it might just be, hey, shithead, change the password on your Facebook, and and stop checking your fantasy baseball from your work computer or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's they call it big data for a reason. People don't know what they're getting themselves into when they do it, and you're looking at it, just from what you do or what I do. I mean, The other day, I could talk about going to buy a computer monitor, which I did yesterday, and then Instagram's telling me, look at all these places for computer monitors. So that does exist, and if you look at it on a business or a company scale, where it's not just one person, now it's 300 employees,
sure,
and everything is being formulated and data is accumulating. Not to mention the pure proprietary information that some of these companies have and don't know where it's housed or who can access it, is scarier than I think people take it.
Yeah,
it's not something that should just be overlooked. And ultimately, what I'd love to see, in however long I stay in this industry, is for this to become more of a proactive solution instead of a reactive solution. You talk to people all the time, I don't have a budget for security, or it's just part of my IT budget. It's not IT, it's security. And people who are in IT typically don't give a shit about security, and vice versa. But most of the time, I'm solving problems that have already happened instead of helping people eliminate them before they start.
Yeah. I know I had signed up for a new Gmail account for this account, and you try to be the respectable consumer or whatever. I quit at like page 214. It's just like, because I get they have to spell everything out. I also get that they know you're not going to read the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But just the shit that you are reading, it's like, holy fuck. And I get it. I know that there's nothing that I'm doing on the computer that my boss can't see if he wants, or the Wi-Fi network. I mean, I get that I have no privacy for what I do on the computer, but I think probably to your point, it goes a lot deeper than that, because it's like if you take me in as a roommate and you tell me, all right, Jamie, there's your room. It's going to be $200 a month. Fine. And you think, well, how much damage can you do in that room? Well, right. But I'm also using your bathroom and your kitchen, and I'm teaching your kids swear words, so I feel like it's almost like that, where yes, you get a Chrome extension that you think is really cool. And you say, yeah, what can it do? Well, once it's in the computer, it can go anywhere. And that's really scary, because you'd like to think that, these huge companies, whether it's Apple, Google, Microsoft, have a stake in protecting you. But when it comes right down to it, I don't know that they care too much.
No, I mean, can't really speak for them, obviously, but if they cared that
much. You got
an
interview coming up next week with them?
Yeah. Well, once I get my mayor title, then I might be able to get one. But no, if they cared, they wouldn't sell your data to advertisers. So like, to me, it doesn't show a semblance of care. But
see, and I see the other end of it. Obviously, I'm in marketing and advertising. And I can tell you that the ads that I see are a lot more compelling. And if I know that I'm going to see ads anyway, and that I'm going to be inundated with advertising, I'd rather have it be a Grateful Dead candle than a douche of the month club. No offense, Joe. So the advertising is very, very targeted. And to your point, it's almost creepy sometimes, how specific, I'll just be having a conversation.
Sure.
And then look at Facebook and say, really?
Yeah, it's like it's wild, man. Yeah, if you leave your phone out on the dinner table, which we try not to do in this house, but sometimes there'll be like what I ate, where I can go to get what was we were eating for dinner. It's wild stuff.
Right. I had heard, and this was a couple of years back, a guy had found out that his teenage daughter was pregnant because of the Target ad that he got in the mail. Like, there was all sorts of pregnancy shit in it. And I didn't realize that the print ads were targeted, but I guess the information that they collect online, they actually kind of customize the in the mail ad. So, he got 2 or 3 of these. What the fuck? I know I'm not pregnant. So he found out his daughter was pregnant because of this advertising. What is one of the most common things that you run into, whether it's, a business or personal, that I don't even know how prevalent it is, but, if someone says to you, oh, my computer's real slow, I've been doing X, Y, Z, is there anything that pops into your head that says, oh, have you?
Yeah, from a business standpoint, the most common thing in terms of being hacked or being vulnerable is just the customer sensitive information. So you see a lot of healthcare companies get hit, financial institutions get hit. I think you've said this before, but you show me a shitty situation, I'll show you a shittier person that's going to exploit it. So now you have all these people at home where firewalls might not be set up appropriately, or the VPNs might not be working appropriately, and you have all of this data just sitting out there for people to take advantage of. That's what we're finding the most, which is why this is such a relevant tool in the industry right now, because it focuses solely on that data, and it simplifies that process to where someone is ridiculously unintelligent like you and me can go into the button, and we know exactly where all our vulnerabilities are, and we can assign a task in which to get it completed. The average breach right now is $3.9 million of impact. You get some of these small businesses that get hit, that's the end of it. They're done. Not to mention the bad press that could come with it.
And any lawsuits or
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I know you have to be careful who you talk to. Someone called me actually just before I hopped on with you. They said they were from the IRS, that I had these unclaimed tax returns for the last 5 years, and what's my social security number? I'm like,
is that Joe? It was probably Joe.
I'm like, look, bro, I'm not that stupid. What does IRS stand for? They checked out. They were legit. They said Internal Revenue Service. So I don't know. I keep checking my bank account. I figure I'm 5 years. I'm going to be rich, dude.
Definitely.
But,
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously that's a joke, but it happens. And, I don't want to pick on old people, but they are, if we're not talking about business, if we're talking about personal breaches, they are, I would say the most vulnerable, because, their generation didn't think like that. The guard wasn't up for something like that. And
my father, I mean, I love him to death, but he'll try to turn the computer on with the TV changer. Like they don't have the technology savviness that we do. But then again, you look at like my son, I think I mentioned this to you before, but he has autism, and he also is like really into technology. Like that's what he focuses his passion on. And he knows how to do more stuff than I do. So like I see like it happening down the generations of the things that he does on a tablet, I can't figure out how to do on a computer.
Right. Or the things that maybe you and I, take 2 weeks to learn how to do in Excel to make a bitchin' spreadsheet. And our kids would do it in 12 seconds. It's definitely, and I think with older people too, they might not realize, obviously, my parents they're pretty bright people. They're not going to give their social security number over the phone. They're not going to do anything like that. But if someone calls them with a caller ID that says Microsoft support, and an authoritative voice or whatever, and says, hey, we've noticed, I know you have a Microsoft computer. Is it been running a little slower lately? My mom might very well say, yeah, it has. That's weird. How did you know that? Well, we've been running into this problem. I just need your login information. And I could see my mom saying, well, what are they going to do with my login information? It's not like I'm giving them my checkbook. Yeah. But once they're in there, who knows what they can find?
Yeah, I know. But I guess it's a good situation to be in just selfishly in a sales environment, because, as you know, it's not easy to sell right now in these times. It's just like it's almost frowned upon. But this isn't a solution that can't be explained, or frankly isn't still needed, if not now more than ever. I mean, this is one of the industries, and specifically a software that we offer, that is probably more important and needs to be heard about now than ever. So this interesting time to be a salesman is paralleling pretty well with the product set that I can offer. And it helps have discussions like we're having now about why it's important. Whereas previous sales jobs, and probably what you're dealing with now, no one wants to hear you right now. Yeah. It's tough sledding out here.
Right. And it's funny because when you and I used to work together, just try to think of how much money and time was invested in the infosec things, which is important. Don't get me wrong. I get that you shouldn't be writing a credit card number down. Right. All that stuff I get. But, with the paperless desks and shit, if I want to jot someone's first name down to help me remember it, I should be able to do that.
Yeah.
But all of this money that's spent on that sort of thing, and my guess is the back end, no offense, Joe, is wide open. You know, you're spending tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in productivity and time and training to make sure that, Brandon doesn't write down, Jamie Burroughs, Rochester, New York. So you remember who you're talking to, but someone takes that and et cetera. But then, someone can just hack into the mainframe and they don't need you to write a thing.
I mean, the problem is that things like InfoSec, HIPAA compliance, all of that is important. All of that is there for a reason. But unfortunately, like we had talked about earlier, people aren't doing this proactively. They're just checking a box. So most of these companies that have to be InfoSec compliant or HIPAA compliant, they're just going through the motions, paying that money that you had talked about so they can get their certifications. But again, Joe, no offense, they are very exposed on the back end because the data itself is still vulnerable. They're not looking at the data. They're looking at is
right. No one's coming in and going through your trash to say, "Oh, okay, Jamie Burroughs, right. Rochester, New York. Here's 7 digits. Maybe it's his social security. Let's try them all." That's not happening.
That threat absolutely exists, but it doesn't exist at scale. Like not knowing who has access to your customer social security numbers that are embedded in your computers, or they're not. I remember, some of the silly things like we couldn't drink out of clear water bottles or something because you could tape a phone number in it and then like read it while you're drinking the water, or that's a little extreme. Important nonetheless, but as I mentioned, this is a literal fraction of the cost for most of those things, and it's easier, it's less complicated. I think now more than ever, cybersecurity should be looked at as something that's easy to understand, that it's accessible and it's affordable, and it's out there for everybody to get, regardless of company size. It's something that is needed, and most people don't even want to have the conversation because it's intimidating. I, for one, was that way. Even the last time we talked, I would shudder at having to talk to a chief technology officer about cybersecurity because it's just so damn complicated. But it doesn't have to be. Let the complicated stuff exist on, the back end, Joe, and put it all into the one simple software that anyone can hit the button.
Yeah. So would you say that your solution, or, maybe the circumstances that you encounter, with most companies, are you cleaning shit up or making sure that shit doesn't get messed up, or both?
It's a mixture of both. I mean, really, the first thing we do is we just discover where everything is. So, where is all of your data? And that could be, you put one computer into our system, you could have multiple thousands of files. So we're going to identify where everything is, but the next step is determining how sensitive that data is. So you'll have a list of the data that's okay to be there, that's not vulnerable, that's not sensitive, and you also have a list of the stuff that, you have a list of the stuff that is sensitive and vulnerable, and then we'll help you remediate it and protect that data. So it does do a combination of both. What we find more times than not, we do like a letter grade system. After you run the scan, you'll grade out like an A all the way down. Most people are falling in that C to C plus range where they say, holy shit, I didn't know that, I had 10,000 pieces of sensitive data out there. And, now they know exactly where it is and how to fix it without having to pay someone $300-400 an hour to come in and interview your entire staff, figure out where all that data is. So not only is it affordable from a cost perspective, it's affordable from a resources perspective. It takes one single resource to execute this. And that can already be someone in that technology field.
It kind of an insurance policy.
Yeah. I've said that a lot to people. It's like having house insurance. I've never once cashed in my homeowner's insurance. I've owned a house for the past 10 years. I've never once cashed it in, but I will be really happy when I do, and I'm able to, and I'm not homeless.
Yeah, I've got a line when you're trying to sell this, Brandon. Be like, do you have health insurance? They're gonna say, yeah. So is it important to you? Yeah. If I get sick, I don't want to blah, blah, blah. Right. So what if I could sell you health insurance that also made you as healthy as you were when you were 20 and took care of anything in the future? Would you say that would be better health insurance than the plan you've got now?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what you're doing, right? You're saying, hey, we're gonna clean up the shit that's already there. We're gonna clean up that mess, and you can sleep at night because nothing like that is gonna happen.
Yeah, and you can, part of your business practice or business continuity plan should be to run that scan continuously. You've already paid for it. You know, our license fee is a monthly fee for 1 year. So during that year, you can scan as much as you possibly want and understand where everything is. And if, you know, you can also find the root cause, see where it's going, who's doing it, and course correct accordingly. So that absolutely is something that can be corrected with just regular use. And as that's being done, it's becoming part of everybody's discussion and mindset within an organization, which right now, unless they have a dedicated security team, which most companies still don't have, it's not even really being looked at until it's too late.
Yeah. So you guys have this software. So do you just kind of identify and point out the issues, or do you also solve them?
We identify, we point out the issues, and we have embedded in that software a tool where you can execute your own mitigation plan. So we don't want to really play in that field of professional services, and then, you know, there's an hourly rate attached to it. We will give you the roadmap on how to fix it, and then you can assign your resources to fix it accordingly. If there's a situation where they don't know how to do it, then of course we would use our network and find someone or recommend or refer someone. But that's not the world that we play in. We tell you what's wrong, allow you to assign tasks to people to fix it, and then that's where our job is.
Right. So you can't say buy our software, but what is one thing that either people or businesses can do? One thing, you know, if they can only do one thing, what can they do that's going to go the furthest to protect their information?
And I can't say buy our software.
Sorry, man.
I say it without saying it.
You can say that at your interview for the mayor. But
yeah.
That'd be a good in if you can get that contract with the city of Rochester. Hey, let me just scan this real quick. Just keep asking your question, but you're going to be amazed when you see this.
City work, man. When I was in Buffalo, I was doing work with the city of Buffalo. City work is a different bear. Well, you know, if you're doing RFPs now and stuff, it's
yeah.
Number one thing is just, you know, continual checkpoints. Like we talked about InfoSec and HIPAA and all of that stuff. People get certified, forget about it until a week before the certification's due the next time, and then everyone goes into panic mode because they just want the next certification. If you correlate that into any avenue of cybersecurity, that is the fundamental life cycle of failure. You do something to fix it, you think everything's good, and then 2 weeks later, something happens again. There is no regular cadence of accountability or business plans or checkpoints. That's the number one thing that you could do. There is a software out there that I'm not allowed to tell you that can help you with that. But the number one thing to do is just continuously post-check your vulnerabilities, and not just do it because someone told you to do it, or you might lose a contract if you don't have a certain certification. If we go that employer that we both worked for, we know why we had to get the InfoSec, because we'd lose a client that wanted us to be InfoSec compliant.
Sure.
That was the name of the game.
And it's funny because a lot of those efforts, I feel like, may just open people's eyes like, oh, shit, I hadn't even thought of that. Write a credit card number down, eh? You know, but I would think maybe, you know, a more practical thing, like just if people would assume that other people around them, maybe people they don't know at work, are there specifically to, test the vulnerabilities or to steal information. I know I've been in hospitals and, they're wonderful with respecting privacy, et cetera, et cetera. But if I know I've heard conversations on an elevator that if I was on that elevator on purpose to listen to this group talking, I would have gotten a lot more out of that conversation than, a random conversation they're having. I don't know who they're talking about, when, what,
Yeah.
So maybe even that practical part of it, like they always say, don't do anything on your computer that you wouldn't do with your boss over your shoulder, something like that. Don't say anything to someone that, if they had a little bit more information, they could put the whole story together.
Yeah. So they have awareness training is something that is really important. I mean, even part of the New York State Shield Act is a lot of companies now have to have awareness training done every year, annually. All that stuff is great to your point, but something needs to exist that executes for you, that executes for the simple folk like you and I that don't know how to execute what I was trained. And right now, there's very little stuff out there on the market that helps you execute those things in a simple, affordable fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, you could train me all about, hitting a golf ball 300 yards in straight, but that doesn't mean I can go out and execute it. You've seen it. I can't.
Right. Right. And even worse, in my case, even worse, I can do it 1 out of 10 times.
Right.
Or frustrating.
Yeah, I went with my brother, good old Bo Barend. We went golfing the other day. He maybe 1 out of 12, but that off chance that he got it right, I mean, it was like over 300 and straight, and then he'd go and it'd take him 6 more to get in from that one spot.
Yeah, my brother is a vice principal, so he's got a lot of time to golf. We played in a tournament like about a month ago. He's in Annapolis, so we don't golf together a lot. He happened to come up as I had teed off. He's like, Jesus Christ, if you learned how to hit the ball, you'd be pretty dangerous. I'm like, that's true. Like, yeah. And instead of just lining up, grip it and rip it, which works sometimes, but yeah, definitely having some sort of, system that is repeatable. Obviously that's what software is meant to do. It's not something that you can't do. It's something that you don't want to do. Yeah. So who is your, whether it's your typical client or who is your target client? Like who is an ideal person?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have a couple of different models that I've just been brought on like a couple of weeks ago. And one of the things that we had talked about was how to get the most mileage out of it. And what we've decided was to focus on the channel. So right now, we're targeting a lot of managed service providers that have multiple clients in the security area. So if I can get 2 MSPs to sign up at the conclusion of this interview, which would be great, I'd probably take you out for dinner. They might be able to sell it now to 50 of their clients. And the way that our pricing model is worked out is that we can actually help those managed service providers improve their monthly reoccurring revenue simply by offering our product to other people. So we have our license fee, but that exists. Now, if you sell this product to 10, 20, 30 clients, that's up to you on how much you want to sell it for. What we have suggestions, but those are your customers. You can build your own repeatable monthly reoccurring revenue just by being involved. So that's number one. But we also do sell direct, and we're typically healthcare organizations, financial institutions, where that data is extremely sensitive, is where we would typically start. But this is something that anyone who handles personal or sensitive information can use the product. You should probably have it. I know what you do on your computer.
Yeah. No, I think it's in the bag. I've got it somewhere. I just left. I don't know. So I'm not going to ask you down to the dollar, but ballpark, what are we looking at a month for this sort of thing?
It is going to hover in the $10,000 to $12,000 a year range. So it's very affordable. It's the cost of, about 12 to 1,500 a month is what we've seen the licenses go for. Which you look at that, or you compare that to the 3.9 million that we talked about earlier. It is massively affordable. I'd even take it, just for comparison's sake, a step further. I've worked at other security companies where they push professional services or people that are $300 an hour. So that's 5 hours of work.
Right.
So it is incredibly affordable when you compare it to the amount of stuff that it's uncovering and the amount of protection that it ultimately gives you. I don't know of many better deals, but that's getting into used car salesman talk, and I don't really want to go down that road. But to me, it's a no-brainer. Sure. It's a very affordable, simplistic, easy process that helps you make the decision that maybe I should take security more seriously if it's affordable, repeatable, and easy to use.
Yeah. How do you guys advertise or market your services?
Right now, we do as many of these as we can. My CEO is heavily involved in the security landscape. He does webinars. We have live. We're working on doing live webinars every Friday, so we're developing that now. Obviously, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We also, have a number of decks and presentations that are being sent to the marketing team to get finalized and pushed out. So there's a lot more to come. But ideally, it's Brandon hammering the phones and talking to people. Sure. And getting out there, which it's like I'm a young sales guy again. So it's been fun. It's you got to knock the dust off a little bit when so far this week I'm looking at I'm on almost outreach 600 now, and it's Thursday. So it's you knock off the dust and get going, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking some sort of online display advertising would be great for you guys. Just, because that's another thing you talk about, people don't understand online. A lot of people, I like a Yankee game. You'll see the thing behind home plate that says, the doctor's in, and you say, holy shit, how can the doctor's in afford to advertise on a Yankee game? Well, it's not. It's advertising here in Rochester on the Yankee game. But, I feel like maybe something like that, or, really get in with Google and Gmail and send an email to the CTO saying, are these the last 5 email addresses that you emailed? Yes, I know. Why don't you give me a call? Because if I know that, and I had, I talked about Gmail earlier, but it's just so, when they have suggestions for your email, because they know how you type, they know who you email to, they know what you say. I had read something that there's something like 6 government agencies that use Gmail. And why? Because you can't even turn off those features. And frankly, if you could, why would you use Gmail? The reason that Gmail is helpful is because they have access to your whole life and memories and everything else. And I think that if people knew how easy it was, I kind of feel like there's 2 types of businesses maybe in the world: those that have been hacked, and those that don't have anything that anybody wants. Because if someone wants to hack your business, they're going to do it. Unless you have something in place to stop it. But if
you can very rarely stop someone from hacking in, but you can absolutely mitigate the risk and the damage that it causes. If anyone can get into my computer right now, but if I don't have anything in there for them to get to, then have at it. But you're right. You're never going to stop someone from getting in. But, you could break into my house, but if I don't have anything in there, take a nap and leave. It's about all you can do.
Right. Introduce yourself when you wake up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's, I know a lot of the modern computer viruses, like Stuxnet is the one that shut down the uranium in Iran. And I was reading about that, and it was wild. So what they did was they had pictures, real grainy pictures of the centrifuges in Iran. So they knew, like, there's 7 of them. So they just put this virus, like, it's almost like putting a carp in Salmon River, and then, you see what happens. Because they would put this virus in one computer, and then it just spread everywhere. But they call it like a Trojan horse malware, where it doesn't do anything. So your computer's fine. And the way this virus worked was it was built to identify these 7 things in a row. So it could have been 7 washing machines. And again, when it encountered that, it would send a note back.
Yeah.
And the person would say, no, Frigidaire is probably not what we're looking for. Keep going, though.
Yeah.
And, through that brute force of just sheer numbers, they were able to eventually short circuit a centrifuge in Tehran or somewhere in Iran. I had nothing to do with it. I just read a lot, just so, keep an eye out. But yeah, it's
wild what they can do, man. It's it'll probably end up being my son. We just talked about all the shit he can do on his tablet, so he might keep me in business. I don't know.
Well, sure, and a lot of times it is the same people. I mean, I can't program a computer, so I sure as fuck can't deprogram it. But you think of it, who better to destroy a house? Well, the person that knows how to make it. Yeah. Because you would say, well, this is the vulnerabilities, and, this was a real pain in the ass because it, holds everything together. So, yeah, I think you're right. A lot of this is those programmers. And, this is probably a societal thing that we don't need to get into. But, a great programmer might say, all right, cool. I made $110,000 last year. I'm not complaining about that. My family is fed and I have a nice car. But I could go work for, these bad guys or these questionable guys who are going to pay me $1 million. And all I got to do is write code. And a lot of times, they're not writing a computer virus. They're writing a code. So they have that culpable deniability. They say, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but here's how you get into that system. So, yeah, I think, that was a longer way of saying that, yeah, if they want in, they're going to get in.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's knowing when they're there and making sure you hide the silver is probably the safest thing you can do.
You got it, buddy.
Got it. So how do people get a hold of you?
Well, the website is cyrisma.com, cyrisma.com. You could put my email up. It's just brandon.b@cyrisma.com.
No, that's a dumb email address, dude. Anything with a dot in an email, no. How about your phone number?
Yeah, 585-460-1750.
Sure. And how long you been with the company?
Oh, the company's been around for 2 years. I just started 2 weeks ago. So.
All right, so you won't miss it very much. If you call Brandon, they do have a free scanner bot thing. They'll tell you just how fucked you are. I don't know if you have that, but you should. You should.
We do allow a 7-day test drive of the software, so you can see how effed you are on your own.
Have you ever gone into a company and do the scan and be like, "Huh, you guys are good"?
I've yet to see it. I would love it though, if that was the case.
Yeah, no, it's one of those, we'll do something similar for local listing scans, where we'll scan like the top 200 local directories. And the only people that will come up A-OK are the people that sell the same software or that bought the software we're selling. Because I don't care who you can spend 5 hours a day going through these directories saying, nope, that's not my phone number. It's this. You're still going to have something pop up. So I imagine it's the same thing. And it's not bullshit. I get it. Like, it is a vulnerability or, something that has been breached. So, I mean, where do you think we go from here with security? I mean, is it just an evolution thing where as people incorporate your software and start to hide their good shit, then the programmers need to get smarter? And I mean, it's a cat and mouse game, right?
Unfortunately, I think that it's a dance that everyone's going to dance. I mean, our software will help mitigate what they can find. To your point, we're never going to stop anyone from finding things if they want to. So ultimately what I think will happen is companies will wise up. They'll remove that data from those locations. The hackers will wise up and find it somewhere else. And then we enter that cycle again. But right now, the people that are out there doing harm have zero incentive to come up with anything new and creative because it's too easy to win right now with what's going on.
Right. And my guess would be there are, at least for the foreseeable future, there are going to be plenty of, maybe medium value targets that for those companies, either this security is too expensive or just something that's not even on their radar. So
yeah. Well, that's the thing you only hear about the big places.
Right.
You don't hear about the small ones because no one gives a shit, and you just cripple them and they're done. But it's not big news if the bank down the street that has 100 customers goes out. That's not big news. It's big news when Amazon gets hit or something like that, then of course. But those big companies, they have the budget, they have the hired guns to make sure that those things are minimalized, where a lot of these small to mid-sized businesses don't have that. You won't even hear about it happening because it doesn't make the news, and it's the end. And it's sad, and it's a dangerous game to be in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Brandon, thank you very much for your time. Keep fighting a good fight out there. And,
we have 1 minute left. So I just want to acknowledge that the Dolphins are going to go at least 9-7 this year.
Please, 9-7.
Yeah.
How many starts does Tua get?
I don't know, man. Fitz is a baller. I think they'll ride Fitz as long as he's able. What's the rush? The season's going to get shut down in 3 weeks anyways. So it doesn't matter.
I agree. I love Fitz too, but if let's
you want to
say
see what the shiny new toy does. I get it.
Yeah.
I love Fitz. I love the way he plays. He's the epitome of effort and intelligence. He's not that talented, but he just gets it done.
I agree. So you're saying the Dolphins are 6-4 going into week 11. They don't say we're going to start Tua.
Why would they? You mean 4-6?
No, I mean 6-4. Like,
they're not going to. If Fitz is winning, why are they going to start? If they're 4-6, then yeah, he's coming in.
I agree. That's the way it should be. I just feel like, like you said, it's how long you leave it on the shelf. Not too many teams, not too many front offices have that sort of patience to hear about this rookie who's lighting it up in practice, and then watch Ryan Fitzpatrick throw for 240 yards, rush for 45, and win a 23-20 game. Like,
I got
right or
all
wrong.
the time in the world for that. Do that 16 times, and I'm happy.
Perfect. Brandon,
Right,
thank you very much. Enjoy the game tonight. Who the Dolphins got this week?
The Brady-less Patriots.
Ooh, what's the line?
You don't want to touch it. It's not.
All right.
Not good. Yeah. All right, man. We'll talk to you.
Yeah. Take care, bud. Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you watching after the fact on replay, thank you. That was Brandon Barend, friend of mine working for Cyrisma. Information security, it is incredible. So if you own a business, just think about the most secure information that you have and where it's stored. And if you don't know, you should probably find out, because, it not a good look if that stuff goes missing. So thank you very much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. We will be getting to a more regular and or predictable broadcast schedule, and I will let you know just as soon as I do. Thanks so much. Have a great day.